What's going on, YouTube? This is my fourth video blog about teaching English in Korea through the EPIK program. And for this blog, I'd just like to talk a little bit about your first week in Korea and your first week teaching. So in my previous blogs, I talked about the benefits, the orientation, and basic information like that. So this one, I kind of want to focus more on like your actual first week after orientation and your first week teaching. And I'll just give you some experiences from my own experience from doing so. So my first week after orientation, you get on a bus, you find out your location of where you're teaching, what school, because prior to coming to Korea, they're going to let you know, okay, if you're lucky, you're in the city of Daegu or Ulsan or Seoul or Busan, or you're in a province, but they don't tell you exactly what school and what level. So at the last day of orientation, they're going to give you a piece of paper with your school and your location, where your school and where you're going to be living. So I talked about in my first blog about me living in Busan. So I live in the city of Busan, and I live in Pusan-dae, or PNU, which is one of the city student centers of the city. And we took a bus from orientation. You're shipped out, so you're wearing nice clothing because you're going to be meeting your co-teacher for the first time. And from my bus from Daejeon, which was my orientation site, to Busan, it was about maybe 2 hours, and we had to go through typhoonish weather. It was typhoon season in August, so it rains and it's really windy. It's really actually kind of scary, to be honest with you, because the winds are coming pretty freaking harsh and the rain is just as brutal. And I was unlucky that specific day was a typhoon weather day, and I'm dressed in a suit, carrying all my worldly possessions with me, trying to be keep myself cool, because in 2 hours I'm going to meet my co-teacher for the first time. I'm going to be sent to my my school. I'll get a tour of my school, and this is my basically being thrown into the lion's den. Okay, you had orientation, good fucking luck, goodbye. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I was nervous, and everyone is nervous. Everyone is freaking out about their school. There's a lot of excitement once you find out your placement. Oh man, where am I in the city? Where are you in the city? Everyone's whipping out maps to figure out where they are in relation to their friends. And none of that really applies until you actually get there. Once you're in the city or your province, then you'll start to figure out, okay, I'm from this area and my friend is from this area. It's going to take me X amount of minutes to get there. So, once I got to the global village in Busan, everyone gets all their bags unpacked and everyone huddles together and waits one by one for their co-teacher. And it was you spend a week with these people and you meet all these people from different parts of the world and you become really close with them. And, even though you're in the same city, there were people crying because they're oh my God, I'm going to miss you so much. It's we have a whole year together and we're in the same freaking city. People get emotional over the littlest of things, but you're definitely going to see people crying, treating it like people are leaving for Somalia or some crazy part of the world. You're just going to a different part of the city, and there's that nervous feeling of you just standing there with your bags, just saying goodbye to your friends, with their co-teachers, and then you're just waiting there for your co-teacher, for your name to be called. And I was one of the last people to be called, and meeting my co-teacher for the first time was really nerve-wracking. Questions that were going through my head was, how is his English, or how is her English? Am I going to like them? I have to, make sure I give a good first impression, because you get one shot at a really good first impression, and it's really important that first impression be memorable and it be positive. So I was just, I knew 2 phrases in Korean, and I was practicing those phrases every 2 minutes, with my friends, in my head, saying it out loud. And I was just really freaking anxious to meet my co-teacher and to get going and see where I'm going to live. And finally, my co-teacher comes, and he's shorter than me. I'm about 5'10", so he was maybe around like 5'8", maybe 5'7", short guy in his like, middle 40s. And my first impression of him, without him even saying a word, was he looks like a dick. Like, he looks like really strict. Like, it's a dude, like I'm gonna be with a guy. I wish I would have had a woman, just because I feel like I would get along with a woman a little bit better, just because maybe they wouldn't be as strict. I've got this Korean guy, like how am I gonna get on with this guy? And he helped me with my bags. He was really polite, and we get into the car, and then waving goodbye to my friends. And the other thing is, you don't have a cell phone either, so if you don't have Facebook, I would suggest getting, or at least reactivating your Facebook for once you come to Korea, because at your first month you have to wait for your ARC card, which is your alien registration card, and without your alien registration card, which takes about a month, you can't order a cell phone, so be cell phone-less. And meeting with friends is next to impossible, because you have no means of connecting with them and meeting up with them unless you can send them a quick message on Facebook. So definitely get Facebook or some kind of social media site to just keep in contact with the friends that you meet in orientation. So, I'm in the car with him, and it's like maybe around 1 o'clock, and he's just shooting the shit with me, like asking a little bit about me. He was impressed that I knew my 2 basic phrases in Korean. Like, I'll just say them now. So I said, 안녕하세요, 저는 Paul입니다. 만나서 반갑습니다. So I just said, hello, my name is Paul, and it's very nice to meet you. That's all I knew how to say. And he was just like, whoa, like his jaw dropped. He was just astonished that I knew Korean, but if he only knew like how long it took me to freaking memorize that, it'd probably blow his mind, because it took me a lot longer than it should have. But I'm in the car with him. He was, warming up to me a little bit, asking me where I was from. I told him I was from New Jersey, and I had lived in New York for a little bit and traveled a lot through the United States. And, I told him I had traveled to Europe. I lived in Europe for a little bit. And, we started finding common ground. He lived in, New York for a little bit. He traveled to California. He had lived in the Dominican Republic. His English was fantastic. He blew me out of the water with how well his English was, because I caught myself trying to speak slow. I was speaking really slow and trying to enunciate everything. And then halfway through the car ride, I realized I could talk as fast as I am right now, and he will understand me. And I feel like it was more of an insult to speak slowly, because I feel like he's just like, dude, I can freaking understand you. Like, I lived in the States for a little bit. So, we just started swapping stories, and it was cool. Like, I'd say my first impression of him was so totally wrong, and I definitely judged the book by its cover. And to this day, I'm such great friends with him. His name is Mr. Kim. You're going to have a lot of Kims. There's going to be all sorts of Kims and Jungs and Parks. Koreans all generally have like the same last name. So luckily his was very easy. It's Mr. Kim. And he's the shit. Like, him and I are such great friends. He's such a laid-back, cool person, and took me to dinner, helped me unpack my stuff at my apartment. Took me around the school, so I got to see the school for the first time. Pulling up to the school was really nerve-wracking, because my school is an older school, and when I first pulled up, I was like, oh my dear God, this school, it's sand. Like, their playground was sand, and I was not like a sand pit, but just like, it wasn't paved like what I imagine like a Korean school looking like, and it wasn't what I was used to being, a Western person, growing up in the United States, where we have like asphalt and, school buses and playgrounds. They have playgrounds, but they're different depending upon the school. My school is like a lower income area, so the school itself is an older school. It's 4 floors. It has grades kindergarten through 6th grade, and it was very much not impressive. Like, I was just like, wow, there's paint falling off the school building, and like, I'm really not impressed right now. Not that I should have been impressed, but I had these delusions of grandeur. Maybe I thought like, oh, Korean schools are going to be so great. Korean students are, in my mind, I thought they were all perfect and they're excellent and they're well funded, and because education is taken so serious here, so I thought like, oh wow, they're going to be better than American schools or better than Western schools. And I was kind of taken back by a little bit of it. And I met my principal for the first time, and I introduced myself to the principal. I introduced myself to the vice principal, and I was really nervous. I tried to just smile. That's like the best thing I could give you. Like, smile as much as you can, because like I said, you only make one first impression, and it's so important that your first impression be a good one, a long-lasting, positive first impression. Because if the teacher you replaced was like their golden child, which God forbid, I hope that's not you, because if they lost a teacher that was like their favorite ever, then you're already at a complete disadvantage, because now you have to not only fill those shoes and expectations, but you kind of almost have to supersede them a little bit, because yeah, you bring something different to the table than the other person, and that's unique for every person. Every person's teaching style and personality is different. But if you got the bar so high from the last teacher that was there, you are totally at a complete disadvantage. And I feel really bad for you if that's the case. For me, the bar was set pretty high. I was told by my other co-teachers, I have four co-teachers, so a third grade, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade co-teacher, and they're all different. I have two male and two female. One is my head co-teacher, and then the other ones are like below the head co-teacher. And the head co-teacher told me, hey, listen, the last co-teacher, the last English teacher, native English teacher that was here, I treated him like my son. So as soon as he said that, I'm like, God damn it, dude. Like, I gotta not only come into a school that I'm not feeling too great about, and you're gonna tell me, like, the person I'm replacing is like your long lost son, like from the United States. It's like, God damn it, dude. Like, could my day get any worse? You know, like now I gotta try and beat the expectations of the last teacher, or even just match it. Even matching the expectations of the last teacher was really difficult in the first year. So your first week is basically going to be meet and greets. You know, once you get out of the orientation, you get like a day by yourself, and then for me, I taught the next day. So I had a week of orientation, and then a day to get to Busan, organize all my shit in the apartment, set up my cable, internet, meet my landlady, which she was awesome, meet my co-teachers for the first time, meet my principal, vice principal, tour the school, get your office, get settled with your computer, and then you're teaching the next day. Nine times out of 10, you're teaching the next day. I would highly suggest, you know, once you meet all your co-teachers and you figure out your schedule of what your class schedule is going to be, whether you're going to teach third grade on Monday or Friday, blah, 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 establish how you want the co-teaching to work between yourself and the co-teacher. Every co-teacher is different. Some co-teachers want you to just lead the class, and they want you to be the teacher. You are the teacher, and they're going to sit in the back, and they're just going to make sure the class doesn't, you know, start burning desks and hitting each other in the head and causing mayhem. You know, that was my experience. My third grade class, I was the teacher. My fourth grade class, I was split with my other co-teacher. He would teach half, I would teach half. My fifth grade, I did the same thing, splitting half and half. In my sixth grade, was pretty similar, but I was the leading teacher in the class, and he would just help me, you know, manage the students. So establish, you know, how you want to run the class, what is required of you. If the teacher wants you to do all of the textbook and leave 10 minutes for an activity at the end, then make sure that you do that. I would suggest writing things down and going over your lesson with your co-teacher before you start doing your PowerPoints and stuff, and just being like, hey, is this what you want? Is this what you feel would be an effective lesson for the class? And just have those kinds of clear-cut expectations from the beginning, knowing what your role is, what the role of your co-teacher is, and how you guys can really work together, because co-teaching is working together. And, you know, your first week is going to be really difficult. It's going to be hot. You may not have air conditioning in the classroom. It's going to be humid. You're going to be coming in halfway through the year, because the school year in Korea starts officially in like January and February. It's like the beginning of their school year. So you're meeting students that have already had the first half of the year completed. You're coming in right in the middle. if you come in the August intake. And that was my situation, and I was like coming in at a situation where the last teacher was like the golden boy, and it was really tough. So the first week, I just told my teachers, hey, listen, I would just like to introduce myself. And I made a PowerPoint of just who I am, some of my interests, some of the things I like to do, and I created a little PowerPoint about my family, like pictures of my house, pictures of my room, pictures of my dog, my brother, my sister, my friends from home, me playing guitar, me playing soccer, stuff like that, just to give the kids an idea of like, who is this stranger that now I have to like listen to and follow in a classroom. You know, have something prepared or bring something with you and take photos of things at home that you can share with your students. And then I played a game. I brought this. You can search them online. They're sticky balls, so they like stick to the board. So what I did was I made a PowerPoint, really short, really brief. I made the English really simple, and I just showed pictures and I talked about it. And then I had my co-teacher explain it in Korean. And I told them in the beginning, listen, I'm going to show you a PowerPoint about myself, but I want you to listen carefully and pay attention very closely, because we're going to play a game at the end. And the questions and answers for the game will come from the pictures and what I say from my presentation. So then immediately the students are like, oh my God, okay, game? That they may have not heard or understood anything I said except game. And the students that were sleeping were like, game? Oh my God, I totally like games. Like, let's totally play a fucking game right now. So that is the best way to introduce yourself and introduce material. Teach a little bit about you and then play a little game. So I had these little sticky balls that you can get online like for dirt cheap, and I brought this little alligator, and the alligator had little teeth in it. And if you get an answer wrong, you push a tooth down, and if you press the wrong tooth, the alligator closes on your hand. So I made the game a question game. So at the end of my PowerPoint, I had like a little dartboard that I got through Google Images and put on the PowerPoint. And I chose 2 students to come to the front of the class. And what I would do is I would ask a question. So I would say, I am from the United States, yes or no? And I wrote yes on one side and then no on the other and circled it and gave them 2 sticky balls. And if the answer was yes, they had to throw the sticky ball at the yes. If it was no, they had to throw it at no. Whoever was first is the winner, and whoever is the loser has to push a tooth down on the alligator. And all students from 3rd grade to 6th grade loved it. And it was really interesting, it was dynamic, and it got my students at least interested in me from the very beginning, which is really important. It built a really casual relationship. I made the questions funny. Towards the end, I was running out of questions to ask, so I would just point to something in the room and just be like, is this the color orange? Or is today Thursday? Yes or no? And if they were wrong, I made them push a tooth down. They loved it. I would suggest getting the alligator and being creative and finding sticky balls. You can search that stuff online. But that was my first week. After that, I started teaching. And, you know, once you start getting into a routine a little bit, things will come easier. Go to waygook.org and find some good materials. You know, don't beat up on bomb games. You'll understand what a bomb game is once you start looking into the Waygook games. They're like PowerPoint games. These kids have been playing them since they're like 3rd grade. Do like surveys, stuff where they're getting up and moving around, kinesthetic activities where they have to write things down, or actions, or anything that involves moving is really good. So try to be creative with your activities. You know, put the effort into designing really innovative, creative, and fun lessons, and you'll have the students eating out of your hand, and they'll love you for it, and they'll treat you like a celebrity. Having that positive relationship from the beginning is so important. I can't emphasize that enough. Make sure you start strong. If you're nervous in the beginning and you stutter and you're not confident, you're going to eat eaten alive. These kids will eat you alive. I mean, imagine yourself as a student when you had a substitute teacher, or they're like sharks, like you can sense when a teacher's not confident. You can tell. And then the body language in the classroom and the environment in the classroom changes because you're not being confident and you're not taking advantage of your role as the teacher and putting your foot down and asserting yourself. Be strict to an extent, but for me personally, be the joking clown and the funny guy and be really easygoing. Don't yell, make things fun, and the students will love you for it. Okay, so that's your first week in Korea. A little bit about, your teaching, what you can do for your first week teaching, and then after that, you can build your relationship with your co-teachers and start designing your curriculum based on Wayguk or whatever resources that are available to you. I'm making a lot of blogs today just because I have off from school and I'm getting some things done for my winter camps, so pardon the same clothes if, I'm probably going to make like 3 or 4 of these today, so I'll be wearing like the same attire. So, yeah, just a heads up. All right, well, best of luck. Hopefully this was helpful to you, and good luck. Bye.